So for me, trust begins with listening, truly listening. And people long to be heard in today's fast paced world. That's just so the norm, and it's often missing.
So here we are at the Agent Growth Channel, and here with Charlotte Volsch, and she's in sunny California,
I am.
and you are, and I'm in cold Philadelphia. And boy, when we talk about growth, I've been known you for I don't know a lot of your real estate career, and just watch you grow as an agent. And I'm so excited that you joined me today because there's so many agents out there in pain. You
Pain.
know, pain about what's going on. They're leaving the business, and we need to keep our fellow agents in the business. And I believe that your story will help people, give them hope that there's another way of doing business. Because as I see it, every Facebook, I'm on my phone, you get ads because they know I'm a realtor, and do you want seller leads? Do you want buyer leads? Give me your money. I can show you how to do this and this. You sign up for $9.99 or whatever it is. And there's a lot of that hitting the realtors today,
So
unlike the way you choose to do your business, which is 100% referral, and how we work together in that because of our coach from Joe Stump. So let's start out with your journey and like over your 25 years. Talk a little bit about your career success. Like, why'd you even get into real estate from the very beginning?
well, that's a really good question. The way that I got into real estate in the very beginning was to support my husband. And at the time, we had a new baby, and I had left my corporate job so that I could be a stay at home mom. And it was at the time in corporate America where they were phasing out people in their 40s to hire two people in their 20s because they thought that was a good move. And again, because my husband, being the guy he is, decided to pull up his bootstraps and figure it out, I was going to do whatever I could to support him. So when we worked together to transition him out of corporate America, and while he was doing that, he was studying real estate and also working cleaning UPS trains or UPS planes. I was meeting him in between different jobs with food and change of clothes and this little babe. And that's how I got started.
That's a great start. And
Yeah.
so when you got started to where you are now, there's a lot of bumps along the road. So we can talk a little bit about that. But when I met with you with the buyer refer only, I remember you basically were 100, almost 100% working with buyers, you know,
Absolutely.
and you saw me doing like seller seminars, like how can I make this transition? And you did. And I know anything you do, you put your mind to, you're very successful. So a lot of people who are listening are wondering, how do I make that shift? How do I make that shift from the buyer focused to listing focused? Like, what happened to you? Were you, for me, I was out showing houses like, I shouldn't be doing this. I should be doing listings. And I had this epiphany. What was it like for you?
Well, for me, it was watching you, and you inspired me. And then you were kind enough to kind of take me under your sleeve and mentor me into what you were doing. And then that was kind of merged together with my coach, Joe Stump, who further elevated my confidence and my courage and gave me tools to connect authentically and just navigate that complex transition. I've discovered the toughest challenge during the transition was believing in myself and embracing that I was the right person to guide people through such an emotional and also their biggest financial journey in their life. So developing myself was a process. But the turning point came when I learned that my faith and trusting my wisdom was what was going to take me on.
Wow, mindset, faith, and wisdom. That's huge. And what I find a lot of agents today, while scrolling on their phone looking for the next lowest hanging fruit, they're not developing that.
Mm.
what you've had. So you've taken your business from buyers to sellers upon a process, and we worked together. Actually, you were the best student. I mean, I told you, here's the presentation, here's what you do, and you did it, and you got successful, and it gave you that confidence. But I
Mhm.
knew you could do it because you take on anything 100% whatever you do, which I love about you. And you also then you went ahead and you went on to you gravitated right into probate. So I know some of our buy referral only members are also doing that, but you didn't just do it, you just grabbed it like this and took it on. All of a sudden, I'm seeing videos that you're doing probate. You wrote this book. I mean, what got you to choose probate as your source to working with sellers? There's an instance that you worked with somebody. How'd that all work out?
Yeah, that's another great question. And what motivated me to walk that journey was that when I worked with somebody in that position, and I really learned at helping people in short sales, that there's a certain amount of pain involved,
Mm,
and there's a certain amount of grieving involved. And I noticed, because I'm very good at connecting people at a deeper level and building relationships, and I was noticing this level of pain, and that they needed not just a wise guide, but a compassionate advisor. And so
mm,
I knew I was that person. I had been through loss of my parents myself and didn't know all of what needed to be done, and learned that. And I thought, that is so detailed and technical and overwhelming while you're grieving too. That's a
right.
really tough combo. So that's what motivated me to step into that avenue, if you will, or that lane, and really learn more, develop more. And over the last 15 years, I've developed that niche in my business and have worked with some amazing attorneys that have the same
Mm.
mindset of helping and appreciate the value of what I bring to the equation to help their clients.
Wow, you say attorneys. I mean, 5 years ago, you probably had a small list, but now you must have a much larger list over the last, 5 years. I've seen you grow into that. It was amazing. It's just, whew, you went from here to there. And so when your attorneys have, when you take on these attorneys and you say, one thing you said that I heard from you, I heard really loud, is that they have the same mindset. Now,
Mm.
how important is that? I mean, a lot of realtors will just go out and try to take the job because they could put food on their table, or just go, go on vacation, or they get to make a commission check. But here
Mhm.
you are looking for business from them, but you're interviewing them as well. They might give you business, but maybe you don't, maybe their mindset, maybe your core values aren't the same, and you're willing to give that up
Right.
because that's who you are. So talk a little bit about that, about, you know, working with the people that have the right core values and mindset that you do.
Well, for me, what I do, my definition of success has evolved tremendously. Now it's all about the service that I can give, the help I can extend.
Mm.
My tagline is the calm in your storm. And so I want people to feel that calm presence because they're in the state of overwhelm. And
Mm.
being that steady, calming presence for my clients and making their journey as seamless as possible is my top priority. And when
Mm.
I speak to other professionals, I can discern whether they are in that same mindset or in that same
Yeah,
vein, if you will. And if they are, great. And if they're not, that's fine too. They're just not a great partner for me.
right. And the fact that you're willing to just walk away from business means a lot about who you are and your passion. How do you stay passionate for 25 years now in this job? I mean, like, how do you keep that passion going over and over? I mean, what brings you to the office every day?
So, Diane, I look at what I do is God ordained. And I
Mm.
I go every morning. I have a prayer time and I speak to my God about what it is and who it is that He wants me to touch today. And when my phone rings and somebody tells me their story and they're looking for some help, am I going to go, nah, I don't want to help them today. I don't care that you sent them. So for me, I always tell people when they say, how's work going? I just smile and I tell them what I do as a ministry. I don't
Mm.
have a job.
Oof.
I
So
I
important.
just have a ministry. I'm ministering to people going through the biggest financial choice of their life, oftentimes handling someone else's estate, being overwhelmed, going through grief, and needing some compassionate, wise guide to come along and help them on what's next and what's next,
Mm.
what's next. And while they might be in the state of overwhelm, letting them know I can do that next step if you're okay with that. And they'll let me know yes or no. But yes, that's what keeps me.
Wow. So different from a lot of agents that I talk to. They're in survival mode. As we talk about survival, that different phase that you go through, and that people are a lot of agents today. And you probably talk to many agents as well. They're
I
in
do.
survival mode. They could not comprehend what you just said because they just need to make money, and it's all about the money they make and making sure they provide for their families. And sometimes what happens, as I see, they put that in front of their clients' best interests. You know, so I went out on, very rarely do I go out on a listing that is not referred. So the other day, someone who came to my seminar back in 2015, that's 9 years ago,
Right.
and called me, said, we weren't going to move. I told you 5 years ago I'm never moving, but we're moving. And had a great opportunity came up for them. So he's like, I'm interviewing 4 or 5 agents. So instead of going into salesperson mode, I just really tried to get into their space of why they're interviewing the agents and see how I could help them, and
Sure.
versus trying to compete against these agents. So it was a different mindset that you go into because we're all buy refer only, and that's the only way I know to be. So it kind
Mhm.
of relates back to working with the lawyers. Do I want to help? If this person called me today, I need to see if I can help them, and not go out and let's compete against all these other individuals that are out there. So it's a whole different mindset. I did get the listing, and I always send flowers to my clients after I do a listing appointment,
Okay.
and I and I sent the flowers and called up, and he says, just he's like, you're a class act, and also mentioned that you never really talked about money or
Mhm.
commission, or you showed me what we're doing. So I feel, as being a buyer firm only agent, we're not telling people this is what I do and this is what I do, hire me. We're actually listening. What did you do when you first go into a listing? We sit down and we find out what's going on for them. There's no need to walk through the house. We know we can sell that. We know what needs to be done. But what agents today, they go out and they start putting their marketing plan, and they'll do this and this and that, and they don't really understand what's important to that particular person. I think that a lot of agents listening right now need to really understand that your client needs their values to be clarified, and you're the one who's going to do it. They need someone to listen to them in such intent where you would even maybe tell them things they don't want to hear, right? And I'm like, you might not want to hear this, but you're still going to have a problem with your stucco, or this is going to be an issue. But that's what happens when you're a consultant. You're not afraid, like to talk to somebody and say, this is what needs to be done. And I know that in your business, you work the same way, because we work by referral only, and that's the only way to work. But it all comes about trust, right? So I know there's a lot of trust and integrity. You are the calm in their storm. So how do you build trust? What do you do to build trust with their clients? Because I think just showing up with their smile and just sitting down and listening is trust. I think that's would be enough for me. I would sit there like, oh, she's really listening. But how do you build trust? And get people over that hump, not just to hire you, but just to make them realize that you're there for them?
Sure. So for me, trust begins with listening, truly listening. And people long to be heard in today's fast-paced world. That's just so the norm,
Mm,
and it's often missing. And I take the time to understand their stories, to understand what their fears are, to really delve into what are their goals, what's underneath all of that. And then really ensure that they feel valued and seen for what they're sharing with me. Because
mm,
sometimes they're going to share something they're not real sure of, they might have some shame around, or they
mm,
hope I'm not going to laugh about it. And then because of my own upbringing and the disconnections that I've experienced, I really have a hunger to bring connection to my clients and
mm,
to their experiences, especially during this daunting process. So
mm.
trust isn't built in a moment. It's a culmination of small, consistent actions. And then I see it as showing up and following through and being present. And I just strive to be more than just an agent. I want to be somebody that they can rely on, depend on, and trust just comes up. I over and over again hear, I feel so much better now that I've talked to you.
Yeah. And do you find yourself in a competitive spot with other agents once in a while? And what do you do in that? I don't see you being any different, but do you change how you're doing, or maybe do anything different for someone that's not referred? Or have you ever come up with somebody recently who hasn't been referred?
Right. So, I don't show up any different.
Yeah.
I am who I am, and I know I'm the
I
best
love that of you. I
for them.
love that. Yeah.
Um, if they feel that, and I ask them, what is it that's important to them? What are
Mm-hmm.
they looking for? And really delve into that. That's more important to me than, them hiring me at that time. And I've told them, it's not important to me that you hire me. What's important is that you have the best guide by your side. Do you know what that looks like?
Right.
What are your expectations? And
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
then
That's good.
how can we create a plan to make sure that happens?
Well, that's a pearl right there. If you're listening to this, that is something you can start doing in your presentations and in any conversation, because you could be talking to a future home seller every day that you don't even know you are. That's why when you're doing real estate, you never know who you're talking to. You can talk to somebody at the grocery store and they could be selling their house in 2 years. And my program, I'm always out there looking for people who are 1 to 2 years out, because I know if I can get them one or two. I mean, these guys, I just got the listing, 9 years, 9 years of sending them things in the mail, inviting them to seminars, things you can do in a long term to get them to understand that you might be the best, that you're the best person for the job. But the way you approach that and the listening, that you're not a realtor, we're listeners, and you're bringing the best version of yourself to help them, is amazing. If that's not a lesson, I know people want it. I know all the people listening want to hear the the email that you sent out that got you all these listings, or the one ad that you placed in Facebook with $20 a day on processing, or you know what I mean, so whatever it is, the advertising. That's what they want to hear. But this is not the channel. These are people who want deliberate growth to stay relevant in this crazy world, to have access to all the Joe Stumps. I mean, my people that I coach, they have access to everything that I do, like, and I'm on top of them every day, helping them, as well as I'm still producing. So I think that when a lot of these people out there who are listening to these webinars, and they like, what's that next thing, that next widget I can get that makes me successful, they should just look in the mirror and
Mhm.
see who are they and how they show up for people, and become the
Who
best
are
listener.
you and how are you showing up?
Yes, and I think that's right there, the two things you talked about. I think that's gold, absolute gold, to a new agent. And I think you know I work a lot with agents who are say going from 5 to 10 or 10 to 20, and how they can take their current book and doing events like we do our client parties and things like that, and Thanksgiving pie and all the different things that we do as referral agents versus, I don't know what to call the other marketing agent or the people who lead. They want leads. I want leads. I need leads. I need some more leads. Why don't wake up every morning looking for leads? You
Right.
know, and I know you don't either. So, are you 100%? Are you off the buyer? Do you have a buyer agent right now? So tell me about your team. Who's on your team, helping you every day be that listener, that
Well, I
compassionate
have a
person?
remarkable transaction coordinator,
Okay.
and I
And,
have
what do
two.
they? What does she do for you? Does she keep you out
What
of the
does she do for
transaction?
me? She processes the whole transaction. She interfaces with title, escrow, the other
Hmm.
agent, the lender, um,
And
the
your client? Does she
inspectors.
talk with your client too?
Sorry?
Does she talk with your client as well? I mean,
Possibly,
okay.
possibly. My licensed assistant sometimes will do paperwork with my clients
Okay,
and
good.
meet with them.
Perfect. So she's your right-hand lady with the transaction, things
Yes,
like that. Takes it
transact.
from listing to
Every
closing.
document is in that we need to have
Mm,
a complete file. She makes sure all the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed, all the
right.
timelines are hit, uh,
Wow.
everything.
And that
And
keeps you,
go ahead.
what does that do for you? That I guess keeps you from
Oh,
worrying about that. So you can actually be with a client, not worrying about did the escrow come in, or you can actually be
well,
with
that's
people while you're with them. And your phone's
one of,
not ringing like 5 times during a listing appointment.
well, I don't take my phone to a listing
There
appointment.
you go. That's good.
My time is with whomever
Oh,
I'm
that's
with. And
perfect.
I tell them, I explain to them how I update my voicemail daily and how I don't take calls when I'm with someone like I am with you right now because that's
Mhm.
rude. And so they
Yeah.
appreciate that.
But I would say like probably 95% of the people who agents listening to this bring their cell phone to a listing appointment. And they might miss this because they don't have somebody running the show like you have, a transaction coordinator. And then tell me about the rest of your team. Do you have?
Well, I have two assistants. One is
Mhm.
licensed. I also have three other people that are agents. So we're a boutique brokerage,
Yeah, which is beautiful.
small, selective, and
Mm.
steady.
Ooh, gets me, it gives me a chill. Small and selective. That's awesome. I love it. And they work with your buyers, I guess, help you with buyers.
Right. Maybe have one buyer I work with a year, maybe.
So good. Oh my God, I didn't know it was that different compared to when we first talked a
Yeah,
long time ago. It
it
was
is.
100%. Wow, that is amazing. One buyer. That's a special buyer. Because I know for me, if I work with a buyer, it's my best friend's daughter or
It's
something.
it's
It's like
that
somebody
I've
special to
helped in
me.
the past, and now they want to buy something, and of course I'm going to help them.
Sure,
But
of course you will.
for someone that I don't know, I have someone on my team help.
That, that's fantastic. Uh, I know you're really good at marketing, and do you have any? I know you're. What do you do? Use any social media at all, or what do you do for your marketing? Um, Mostly, is it with your letters from the heart, things like that? What do you do for? Is it mostly client marketing that you do?
Mostly to
Okay,
my tribe. I do
tribe.
use social media. I do use technology, allows me to tell the story of properties and connect with potential buyers in a meaningful way. And I focus on creating some compelling content with the help of my assistant who, takes photos and videos, and I have posting done. But I
Good.
also do print material, and I find
Okay.
that that client communication is really important um, through print medium,
Is
and
that your
also
letter from the
email
whole
connections.
email connection? So
Uh-huh.
I know you probably do a letter from the heart
I
every
do
month.
every month.
So to tell, I mean, people might think that's pretty foreign. Like, what's a letter from the heart, and why would you keep in touch with your past clients so much? So, what does your letter from the heart do? What is your letter from the heart every month? What do you have in there? What's your premise for that?
So my letter from the heart is a way for me to authentically connect with the people in my tribe who know me. They've been helped by me in the past, and now I'm staying in touch on a regular basis. So they hear from me every month, and I send them a little letter that tells a story about something I experienced personally, I observed, or that I'm pondering. And so, for instance, I just wrote the one for January's newsletter over the weekend, and it's talking about transitioning and to a new chapter. And 2025 is that new chapter because it ends in that 5, and we're transitioning in many ways, many levels, with a change in who's running the country, all the way down to where we are in our own town. So, yeah, so that's what I wrote about, and from different perspectives, and just giving them things to ponder and think about. And sometimes they'll come back and text me or email me and say, "Oh, I really love what you wrote this month. It really spoke to me," or something along that line.
And it's really nice to think that people are reading it, because you never know. Because I just had my Thanksgiving pie, open house type of thing. And I've
Yes.
been writing the more consistently in the last 3 years. And like you said, telling the story what's going on for you and some of the things that happened in my life, with surgeries or husband's illness, things that happen in your family. And almost everybody, even the prospects that came, the people who are on my seller list who come to my seminars, my seller prospects come up and say, "So how's your husband doing?" Stan had this fight with cancer. And it was amazing because they're reading it and they start reciting stuff from your letter. Makes you feel like you've connected some way. That when they come in the door, they don't they know everything about you. They can just go right to, you don't have to start with like last year or last time I saw them with the Pie Day. So it's an interesting way of connecting, and it sounds like you really you really connect because you get comments.
Yeah.
I mean, people are actually commenting. What a way to connect with people in a daily thing versus not okay, knocking on doors or where's my next lead coming from? And you could connect with a client today, and in 5 hours or 5 days or 5 months, they'll think of somebody asking for they'll help with real estate, and the first person that comes to their mind is going to be you. And you have hundreds of, how many you have on your list, but whatever, how many hundred people, little people, raving fans walking around town promoting you every single day, which is amazing. You can't buy that. You can't buy
No,
that.
and when you stay connected, then you press the restart button in their head about you and them being connected. And in the world we live in today, people are hungry for connection. They don't get it through social media. They think they're connecting with everybody, but they're not connecting. They're just voyeuring. And so when they actually have someone that genuinely cares enough to either take a phone call, go to their home and sit down and chat, send them a personal note, which I have stacks I send out every day. That is so enduring to them. They'll take pictures of the little notes I send them and text them to me and say,
Oh,
"Thank you so much. This
that's
really
amazing.
made my day."
It's amazing. And I think that a lot of people listening, especially agents who are just getting started, would love to have a business like yours and are learning a lot from this and just connecting one at a time. Just go out and connect. Don't knock on doors, but connect. Don't look like a salesperson. Connect. Every person you meet that owns a home is a future client. It's like a pool, like that movie with all the people in the pool and they gave them all life. I forget what it was called. Cocoon.
Oh,
Because
yes.
I work a lot with seniors, and they're all sitting in the pool, and then just start bringing people into your pool, into your backyard pool, one at a time, and then say, I can stop at your house and give you some advice if you're selling 1 or 2 years. Know it, and just nonchalantly go in there, get a room by room review, send them some tips, give them a letter from the heart, invite them to your pie thing, and they'll become a client by just osmosis, by them seeing that you are not just like a hungry, um, thirsty commission breath person. You're not just looking for a sale. You're actually going to bring value, connection, communication, and trust, compassion. All of that comes with
Mhm.
um, with the way you work your business and working by referral. Uh,
Well, people want to
so
know that you care.
yeah, right.
If you take
So
the time to invest in them, they'll feel that authentic care. And
yeah,
there's a lack of that most places. That's why, as a whole, most Americans are very standoffish about connecting because they have these trust issues on,
mm,
are you just trying to get me, or
yeah,
are you really real?
right. And then the only way to do that is to start and go out and be yourself. So
Yep.
new agents are thinking and listening here, like, how can I need business now? That
Yes.
sounds great. I can build a business by referral, but I only have 2 people.
Yeah.
2 people is great, but so how would you, any advice for these new agents who are thinking of, do I get a part-time job to support my passionate, which is
Uh-huh.
real estate? Anything you can give from your advice book there, your Charlotte advice book?
Well, I'll tell you, the biggest thing I tell new people is be willing to learn constantly. Every day you need to be learning. It's
Mm,
not like I pass a test, now I'm going to go out and start writing contracts and houses are going to sell just like that. No, you have to
mm,
study the market, study yourself, study the shifts in the market. And the only way you really are going to be able to do that is to get an excellent mentor. Get somebody
mm,
that's interested in pouring into you, and then just be quiet and listen and take notes and follow
mm,
their directions and stay humble. And that slowly by slowly, you're planting an orchard. It will grow. This is an orchard. This is 20 years of planting seeds and watching and being willing to go out to people like DC and going out to this other lady I learned about short sales, going out to this other lady I learned, and finding what is it you want to do. Now go find the person that you can look up to and follow their steps. Do the things. You said before that I always was your best student. That's because I really wanted to learn and do what you were doing. And the only way I was going to do all that is to follow your steps. It's not a magical thing.
right. You know, like Joe always says, assimilate, imitate,
Imitate,
right? And then assimilate, and then innovate. Or I forget which one comes second or third,
assimilate first,
but
imitate,
assimilate, right?
and then
Imitate, and then right. So that's right. I love that answer. And well, Charlotte, you have given us so much information on a different way of doing real estate, and it's inspiring. And I know a lot of people are saying that I just need a lead, but with my agent growth channel, uh, we can help. I have people like Charlotte as and all many agents in our group that I could pull ideas from to help people grow. But it all starts with the mindset, like you said. It all starts with listening. And
mhm,
if you can just change your mindset, even change your evening ritual or your morning ritual on how you set your day up, getting mentally ready to
yeah.
be a buy referral only agent. Although you might not have all the referrals right now, if you show up that way, people will start coming to you and attracting people to people. People will attract to you, become like a magnet to connect. They want to connect. So, which goes into the market, because I don't know what the market's going on in your town and what's the actual town that you sell mostly in California?
Well, I represent the Inland Empire in the high desert
Okay,
of Southern California.
okay.
And
And what's the average, say, price range in your neighborhood?
well, our price points are our medium housing price is in the 400s.
Okay. And if you've had, I know in California, they had the highs and lows. Did you experience that? Because you're not right in the heart of all the crazy stuff in California, or out further in towards inland. Did you have a lot of the highs and lows like the rest of California as well?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, okay. And what's going on right now in your marketplace? Or is it affordable to buy a house, or do you find there's more sellers than buyers, or more buyers than sellers? What's
Sure.
your going on with your inventory and everything?
Well, quite frankly, our local market reflects the shifts that are happening everywhere.
Okay,
There is there's uncertainty and also opportunity, and I believe the coming year will still offer strong potential for buyers and sellers who are well prepared and realistic about their goals. Um, and it's about studying the trends and being informed yourself so that you can talk about it with a level of
mm,
knowledge and confidence, because people are hearing information from multiple streams. They're
mm,
really looking for someone who can give them clarity around everything they're hearing. And
yeah,
so we still have people buying, we still have people selling.
hmm,
And if the person that's representing them is clear on what's happening in the market, they can guide them better. They can guide them to look at the homes that fit their category, their budget, their monthly payment, if they're representing
right,
a buyer, and they can help someone who's looking to sell to price their home accurately enough to draw
yeah,
the amount of buyers to give them what it is that they need to move on to their next destination. And sometimes it's a matter of just telling them the truth about where the market is and
yeah,
where their thinking is that don't mesh.
right,
So that's why it's so important that I keep repeating, you've got to study the market every day. What's happening? Because
yeah,
what's happening today is way different than even 3 months ago.
yeah.
And if,
You're right.
without that daily study, you wouldn't know that. And
Well,
I can
yeah, because
tell if
you're right.
someone's in the market or if they're just acting today but haven't done anything for 3 or 4 months, because their actions are telling me they're not really in the market
Right.
today.
Well, I think you and I uh, I call it boots on the ground.
Yeah.
You have all these economists, Lawrence Yun, and from this newspaper or this something or other, and this guy sitting behind a desk with their pushing pencils, knowing all the numbers and saying that we're going to have this or the interest rates are doing that, and the markets, the buyers um, are are um, are in demand or not in demand. The inventory is here. Or whatever. They have these numbers, but it all boils down to people and the connections. It's not about the numbers. It's about being on the ground and hearing and listening, because your boots on the ground. And I know for me, I can pick a trend way before it hits the newspaper. Some of those graphs that they give you and to tell your clients, like keeping current matters, they're like 2 months behind.
Yes.
We're on the ground. We don't need 2 months behind data. We see it happening already. I'll see a trend way before anybody else sees a trend. Yeah, and I know you probably do too. I think when you're boots on the ground, you're dedicated to your field, and you're out there looking at it every day, and you're connecting with people, and you're listening what people are saying, and their concerns and their fears. Then only then can you give them a good advice that they need.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, staying on top of trends requires consistent learning. And I have a gift for being able to see a trend coming before it hits. That's just something that's innate, and it's because I do study all the time. And so I'm able to guide my people based on this is going to be coming probably in the next 3 to 4 months. This is what I suggest you do to prepare for that.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, even I think it was wasn't last January, the January before, I don't know what was going on. I forget, they predicted that all the prices were going to come down or stabilize. I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, I said they're going to go up 10%. I think it was 2 years ago, and they went up 10%, at least in our area. And I think it was that one where when the prices really jumped, I think between 2022 and 23, that January just took off. And they were all talking about the market leveling out. I'm like, what level? Because I was seeing it on, you have to like listen to the market, like you said, and listen to the people. Because if you're listening to the people and nobody's going to move, I had 278 future home sellers that were going to sell, come from my seminars, that decided not to. It was 278. Instead of having 20 or 30 from that pile sell, I've had maybe 4 or 5. The people I've been nurturing, my people I would go to their house, and I've been nurturing over the last few years, they just decided to stay put. And you only know that when you have data and when you talk to people. And when you call them on the phone, they say, I'm not moving. I just refinanced and we're putting an addition on. My kids are moving back or something like that. So you can hear the trends when you're actually, talking to people and when you're listening. Because if you don't listen, there's no way you're going to hear anything. That's for sure.
This is true.
So tons of great information today. I know you just wrote a book with our coach, Joe Stumpf. I just got my book, my little book here, and I know you have one. So tell me about the experience of writing the book and then what it has done for your business.
Sure. So my book, The Calm in Your Storm.
I love that.
What the experience of it has really allowed me to put together the pieces of why I am the calm in the storm. What about me that makes that authentically me? I'm not trying to imitate someone. That's just who I am. And then that explains to whomever I'm helping the person that's helping them, and the whys and wherefores of how I do that, why I do what I do, and what that will be for them. How does that translate for help to them, and what that connecting piece. So yeah, and that's what I got out of it.
Wow, that's really interesting. I know it kind of talked about your growing up, and then I believe you were a candy striper, and how that connection with people. Yeah. And how that brought that whole session that we had. Our coach Joe Stumpf, what he does is he gets together with you and spends like 2-3 hours and really understands of bringing your emotional intelligence with artificial intelligence and writing this book about who you are, like who's showing up at the door. Yeah. Who's that person showing up at the door, and knowing a little bit about them as a person, not as the realtor going to take my money, And for me, it just added another layer of trust. And with walking into people's houses, and at the Thanksgiving pie, we gave out a ton of the books to people. We marked them all up and everything, and the comments were amazing to hear that people said, now I understand who you are. And you're like really intense, Diane. Now we really know why. And then I'm sure you probably have a lot of great stories about your book as well, but a great marketing tool.
I have sent it out to people after I've spoken to them on the phone before we've met. And they just are so receptive, and
yes.
feel like they know me from a different level, in which they do. So it's, and it's great. And I'm delighted to have that. As the way I build my business is on relationships and connections. And this is just so authentic with that whole way of being. So
Yes, this is true. And people want to have a book made for them. Joe is looking has you're looking for people who want to connect their being with a book in a book. Um, so I'm going to put a link down below here. If people want to talk to me about it, and I can. If you guys, anybody here was listening wants a book, to get a book set up and maybe talk more about the book, how they could get them to another level with their marketing, more a different type of marketing, not like I'm the best realtor here, you have to hire me, to I'm the most compassionate, and here's my story, and here's who's coming to your house today. Not, different type of person. So wonderful. So thank you, Charlotte. You've been a wonderful guest, and I have many things I wrote down and nuggets that if you didn't get them, you should listen over and over, because Charlotte has a ton of nuggets here and ways of making your real estate business a success 20 years from now.
There you
So
go. Well,
Charlotte,
thank you
have a
for
great
having
day.
me, Cece.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure. And those of you that are listening, I hope you got a nugget on how you can work on you, how you can connect to someone that you trust to mentor you on this journey. It is a journey, and how you can learn to be more of a connector and more of a servant hearted guide than
Mm-hmm.
just a transactional being.
Yeah. And that shift right there
Right.
will take you from here to there.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you, Charlotte, the next inner circle. Have a
Okay.
good night. Talk to you
Thank
then.
you.